Everyone, today we're going to talk about ketosis. So I'm sure it's a topic that a lot of people will be interested in, and it's the mythical thing that everyone wants to get to, or the place that everyone wants to get to when they start on this keto journey. So let's quickly talk about what ketosis is, and in very short way of describing it is that it's really the process in your body when you go from burning glucose as your main energy source to burning fat. So that's why everyone wants to get from that point where they're burning glucose to burning fat. And as we go from our carb-heavy diet to going into a fat-burning diet, that's the process we go through. So that's simply what ketosis is. I'm sure there's a lot more technical explanation, and if you want to look it up, I'm sure there's lots of information online. But in short, that's what we're aiming for. So we want to get into this state of ketosis. Now, there is a further point along the track, and that's when we get fully fat adapted. So in other words, our body is in this, constant fat burning machine, and we become a lot more, our body's just adapted to burning fat as our normal source of energy. So that's really where we want to get to. And those things happen at different points along the track. Some people can be in ketosis within a very short period of time, maybe a day to 2 days, a few days. Some people take a bit longer. It could even take up to 2 or 3 weeks. It really will depend on you and your own chemistry, and also how you're eating and what exactly you're putting into your body. So it can vary. I guess the main thing I wanted to stress is that don't stress. Don't get too concerned about it. Just keep on doing the things that we've taught in the course, making sure you're keeping to your carb limits, getting your fats and your proteins right, and it will happen. It's just a question of going through the process. I know a lot of people in the group really get a bit, worked up on whether I'm in or out or not. If you continue to do the right things, it'll happen for you. And, in a minute, I'll share with you some of the ways you can actually test if you really want to test for this. But as I said, the main thing is don't get too worked up about it. This whole way of eating works a lot better when you're more relaxed anyway. Anxiety is one of the biggest barriers to weight loss. So if you want to lose, stay relaxed about it, do the right things, and I'm sure it will all start to happen for you. Now, the thing, as I said, I'd just like to share is that there's 2 ways you can go about this. You can either take an external test, and so I'll share with you some of the ways that you can do that. Or you can watch and follow your own body and some of the things that are happening in your body to actually work out whether you're in ketosis or not. So let's talk about the tools. The tools are all available generally from places like chemists or Amazon or any of the online sellers. You can just look for them. I don't particularly know or recommend any particular type or brand, but I'm sure you would find them if you look for them. And let's start at the budget end of the scale. So you'll have seen, most likely, if you follow the group at all, people showing their pee strips effectively, the strips that you can take for home. You just use a bit of urine on them, and they change color based on what's in the bloodstream, in the urine stream. So when you are using those strips, the thing about them is that, first of all, they're cheap and the most affordable option. They can be a little bit unreliable, particularly once you've actually been in ketosis for a while. You can actually get some false readings. So you do need to, take that with a little bit of a pinch of salt. It's not necessarily a hard and fast thing. They can be a little bit out. And probably the most important thing to know at this stage is that when you take the reading, you're looking from trace to mid elements on the reading. So mid to trace to mid, should I say. So you don't want to be at the high end of the scale, which is when the indicator goes very dark. Generally what that means is that you have become dehydrated. So go into that trace to mid range and you should be fine. As I said, that's the easy way to do it, cheapest and generally effective. But as I said, they're not flawless. And I guess probably the 2 first versions I'll talk about are not flawless, but they're an indicator, and so they can be used that way. The second one is the breath monitor, a bit more expensive than the strips, but as the name suggests, you just basically blow into the monitor and it will give you a reading. They're a little bit different depending on the brand that you get. Again, available online or in chemists and places like that. And literally, it's non-invasive, so you just literally blow, and you'll get a reading based on what's coming back from your breath. Again, they're not seen to be 100% effective, and they will vary probably in quality by brand to brand. But it is another way of doing it, and as I said, it's a nice and easy way to do it because you don't have to worry about drawing blood or anything else like that. The third form, and by reputation most effective, are the blood tests. So the blood tests will require you to take some blood, usually a prick of the finger or something like that. You put the blood swipe onto a small sample piece, and that gets put into a reader, which then will give you a reading. Now, using your blood is the most effective way to test. However, as I said, it does come with the drawback that if you're a bit squeamish, or if you don't like pricking your finger to take blood, then unfortunately that's not going to be a great option for you. So they're the three options available in, say, from different places, online or in store. Just find out what you like to do. Now, there are ways of just testing without going through the process of actually purchasing anything, and that's really just looking at your own, your body and the things that are happening. And I'll give you a few of the things that you should look for to give you an indicator. Now, I know many of the people who have been on the keto journey for a while will recognize this one. And the first one is that when you start to get into ketosis, you'll start to get a metallic sort of taste in your mouth. And that's always a good sign that you're on the right path, because it's very consistently the case that you get that sort of taste in your mouth, and you'll recognize it when you get there if that's what happens. The next one is that you may start to pee a lot. And again, whilst that's an indicator, it's also a good sign that you're starting to shed some of the fluid. As we've talked about in previous lessons, when you go through this process, as you come off the carb-heavy diet, you'll start to lose fluid because you're getting less inflammation in your body. So your body's healing and expelling this excess fluid, should I say. So you will see that recognized through, start to pee a little bit more. So just another good indicator that things are on the right track. Your carb cravings will start to reduce. So as you start to become in ketosis, and particularly as you get to more fat adapted, your requirement for food will reduce. And if you're getting the good healthy fats into your diet, you'll notice that your cravings really start to drop off, and that's a good sign that you're in the right place, because your body's starting to burn the fat sources that you've got, and those sugar and carb heavy cravings will start to reduce, which is good on all fronts, because you want to eat less, and also your body's working more effectively, and it's cured itself a bit as well. The next one is that you have more energy, and another byproduct of that is you start to get more mental clarity. So that's something that is reported by a lot of people when they get into ketosis, is they suddenly have this amazing sense of clarity. They lose the fuzziness or the dizziness that they may have had. And that's a really good sign you're on the right track. And so that increase in energy, I know lots of people report that they feel like doing more, because they're burning that fat store, and they're losing a bit of weight, but their body's working more effectively. So that's a really good indicator. The next one is the reduction in swelling. So aside from the fact that you're losing this water, you'll notice that things like, particularly if you have swelling in your feet or your hands, knees, the swelling will start to reduce. So if that starts to happen, again, great sign, the water's being expelled. And also you probably should see some relief in, if you're getting discomfort in those joints or in those, in your feet, etc., you'll start to see a relief in that pain. And that's obviously only a good thing. So your body's curing itself, and it's also a good indicator that you're getting into ketosis as well. And the last one is obviously not as easy just to test manually, but it is something that you'll notice, is that your blood pressure may drop a little bit. And that's, again, it's a sign that your body's working not as intensely. You've got potentially a reduction in anxiety and things like that, which obviously will affect your blood pressure. A keto diet's a great way of reducing stress and anxiety in your body. So that's a good indicator. As I said, you'll need to obviously test that externally. You can't just obviously know that your blood pressure's dropped, but it is if that has happened, then it's a good sign that you're on the right track. So with all that said, let me just share one more thing. When you are in the group, you will see it, most likely you'll see it anywhere online when you start to search, is there is a group of sellers, and they're widespread and very active and very aggressive with their marketing about products which will get you into ketosis rapidly. I won't name a brand, but there's many. There's some that are more prevalent than others. But their marketing, as I said, is aggressive, and their stories are often compelling because people talk about great weight loss they've had. But, watch Dr. Ken Berry on YouTube. Look at the videos he talks about with exogenous ketones. It's really these pills, tablets, drinks, etc. All they're doing is giving you a false positive. They sort of include a lot of ketones in the drinks or whatever they may be. You consume them, and then you do the test, whether it be blood, pee test, whatever, and you'll get a positive reading. And people will say, oh, you're in ketosis within 15, 20, 30 minutes. And it just does not work that way. You're getting a false positive in your reading. So as soon as that's expelled from your body, excuse me, you're no more in ketosis than you were before. So just beware. The people who sell these things, as I say, have got very compelling stories. But as I said, go through this process, and this is the best way to do this sustainably. The drinks and potions will probably do you no harm, but certainly they're not doing you any good, and most likely they will empty your wallet by a large degree. They're generally very expensive, and as I say, really create no great value to you. So just good to know. So let's talk about our action items before we finish up today. So really the key thing with ketosis is, do you want to test? Are you happy just to go along and follow your body, understand what's going on and test? And if you are obviously keen to test for yourself, obviously you need to choose your tool of choice and decide what you're going to do there. The last one, just really as a reminder, it's not a particular action about ketosis, but just a general reminder, make sure you keep those fluids up, make sure you're getting your daily tonic, make sure you're keeping yourself in good shape. And we'll talk about that more in the coming lessons. But that's it for today. Ketosis is done, and we'll move on to the next lesson. I hope that's useful. As always, any questions, anything like that, please feel free to let me know, and we'll see you in the next lesson. Bye.